What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So a little while ago, we talked about a game system that had been announced is a bit strange at the time for what it was supposed to do, but now we're starting to see images leak out online for this handheld, and the company behind it is not very happy. We'll go over that here today. Also, we are going to be talking about a new Ultimate controller that has been announced for the Switch, and we'll be going over some of the initial sales information for Saints Row, as it looks like the name still carries quite a bit of weight. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button. Helps out a ton. And if new here to the Spawnwave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And we're going to start today with Xbox Live Games with Gold for the month of September. It's been a little while since there was a really good set of games for the service. I feel it's been more than a year, but let's take a look at what they have for us with September. We can see the 4 games posted up here over on news.xbox.com, starting with Gods Will Fall. That's available September 1st to the 30th. Then we have Double Kick Heroes. That's available September 16th to October 15th. Then Thrillville, that's available September 1st to the 15th. Remember, the backwards compatible games, specifically for original Xbox and Xbox 360, will be ending support in this service. So we're just going to see like Xbox One and I guess Xbox Series games here going forward into 2023. And then we have Portal 2. That's September 16th to the 30th. Out of these 4 games, I would say Portal 2 is the best one. And I mean, you should claim all 4 of them, but at very least, claim Portal 2. Very unique experience, and it's a good co-op game to sit down and play through there. But there we have it. 4 games that, I mean, they're not necessarily like these massive reveals for Games with Gold, and we've had at least some thoughts around the idea of Games with Gold maybe going away here in the future, as Microsoft clearly focused in on Game Pass as their big driving force for subscription services. But you may as well go ahead and claim these, especially if you are subscribed to Xbox Live Gold. Also, as we head towards November, there's a lot of excitement ramping up around God of War Ragnarok. I cannot wait to play this game and at least maybe find out more information around this title. It looks like that is happening here pretty soon, as it is the big cover story for Game Informer. We can see this over on their website with a description as to what we can look forward to here, saying, I spoke with God of War veteran and newly appointed director Eric Williams, as well as some lead UX, combat, and level designers about their experience crafting the long-awaited sequel and the most significant changes coming to the action and exploration loops. Moreover, you'll learn about Kratos' tools or toys, a never-before-seen dwarven realm that feels lived in, the unprecedented number of accessibility features available at launch, and some quality-of-life updates, including new navigation mechanics. And we can see the cover here for it looks awesome. Very, very detailed. Nice piece of art there for God of War Ragnarok. I'm very excited for this game, and obviously, we're going to learn more here with Game Informer, and probably even by the time you're seeing this video, because it says at the bottom that like the digital edition launches later today when they post this up. So it should be available now if you're subscribed there. Otherwise, the print version, which I'm sure this will look really, really good in person here with that cover, should be going out in the coming weeks. So make sure you check that one out too. But exciting stuff to learn more about God of War Ragnarok. Oh, and yesterday something strange happened when the Wii U and the 3DS both got firmware updates like at the exact same time just about, which of course led people to believe that this has to do with like the eShop shutdown when it comes to payment processing and all of these different things. In 2023, they will officially close completely, but it appears that these firmware updates were other things. We can see over with Oatmeal Dome, for example, saying that the Wii U firmware 556, apparently this update only changes text for COPPA compliance text that was added, asking you to call support when setting up a Nintendo Network ID for a child. Also with the 3DS, it appears that they fixed an exploit like randomly at the end of life for the 3DS, which is odd that they're doing it now, I guess, but that's the main thing here is, while they are, of course, working towards shutting down the eShop for these systems, it also seems like they're tying up some loose ends here or there. So, hey, if you're still using your Wii U frequently, I want to go ahead and power it on so you can get the latest update. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with this new gaming handheld that has just started to leak all over the internet. We heard about this previously with a partnership between Logitech and Tencent to bring a handheld cloud gaming device to market. It sounded a bit strange, but I guess it does also make sense considering all these publishers are pushing for cloud gaming, since it's supposed to eliminate the idea of needing a very expensive machine in the living room and make it more accessible. But then you technically have to buy this handheld to do it. Either way, this is something that apparently is coming by the end of this year, at least according to Logitech in that press release. And we can see over on The Verge here, I guess I technically can't show you the images because Logitech is going around and doing copyright strikes and DMCA complaints all over the internet. I saw on Twitter, it was just image after image after image was being removed, but on some of these websites, they're still able to host them. So I will link to the Verge article down below if you want to go through and take a look at a really good image of this handheld here. But I'll talk a bit about it as we go through, and Evan, I guess, can just kind of blur parts of the website. It's strange stuff. I've dealt with YouTube's copyright stuff recently, or they're striking for community stuff, so I'm not going to play around with that too much, I guess. But I will tell you, this looks very much like a Switch. That's the first thing I immediately thought of when I saw it, was like, oh, it looks like a Switch with grips on the sides. Not a bad idea, though. I mean, the Switch works. Why not use that same setup there and then add essentially handles on the bottom for larger hands? They also have like a Logitech button on the bottom around the screen there. A sizable bezel, I will say that. You have your typical X, A, B, Y buttons, dual joysticks. It looks like they're offset, and D-pad there. It was also spotted that it seems to have a micro SD card slot, and it also appears from the back shot that we have shoulder buttons on either side, and then also triggers. They're textured, I guess, for grip. And something else that was interesting is when they had a shot of the front with the screen on, they have several selections that you would expect. You know, you have like your Xbox logo, which I guess would be for like Game Pass or xCloud. You have NVIDIA for like GeForce Now, a Steam logo, so interesting there. Chrome, YouTube, and the Play Store, which certainly makes me think that this might just be like an Android tablet that has grips, physical controls, and I assume just a custom UI that Logitech and Tencent would have set up, and you'd be able to go on Google Play and download any of the apps and games and use it right there natively on the system. So while we heard about it being a cloud gaming device, the idea of it also being able to play games off of the Play Store, I mean, would be a positive, considering we see Sony, like, and PlayStation, like, really making a big push for mobile games. I mean, maybe they set it up with this in mind. Also with remote play, when you want to play like on your PS5 or your Xbox through Wi-Fi in your house, not a bad idea there either. To me, it's going to come down to the price for this thing. Like, is this going to be less than $200? Is it going to be like $250 to $300? That's the biggest thing there. If it's too expensive, I feel like most people just go, just going to move on from it. But if it has a compelling price point and functionality, like what's sort of being alluded to here in the screenshots, I think you can make a case for this thing. But with the marketing material starting to kind of make its way around the internet, I'm thinking a full reveal is imminent, and then we'll find out about the release date and pricing, and we'll go from there. Next up, let's talk about the ultimate Bluetooth controller that was announced from 8BitDo for the Nintendo Switch. We can see this posted up over on Amazon. Also, leave a link to their website that has a bunch of extra details around this with some good images, but this is the 8BitDo Ultimate Bluetooth Controller with charging dock. They have it in white and black. It's currently set up with pre-order price of $70, and it will be releasing on October 28th, so a couple of months from now. We take a look at some of the features that are listed here. It has Bluetooth, and it has a 2.4 gigahertz adapter. You can plug that into a USB port, say, on your Windows PC and use it there. In fact, on the back of the controller, there's a switch that you would flip between Bluetooth or the 2.4 gigahertz signal. It has a multifunctional charging dock, and the idea here is you can just set it right in the dock. It'll charge the controller with some of the connectors on the bottom, and it also has a slot that you can drop that USB stick into that will enable 2.4 gigahertz connection on your PC. I think it's nice to have it in there, just kind of package everything together. The biggest thing, though, that everyone is pointing at, the Hall effect sensing joystick. So I assume that's for both of them, not just one. But the idea here is this is what everyone's pointing at, saying this is how we get away from the idea of stick drift that we have experienced with controllers for quite a while now. I mean, we hear about it a lot with the Joy-Con controllers for Nintendo. Those just appear to have a higher than usual fail rate, as the Xbox 360, PS3, 4, Xbox One, these all have stick drift issues, right? Hall effect sensors in these controllers. The idea is that it would use magnets in order to locate the position of the joystick at any one time, and there would not have to be contact like what we have with a potentiometer in current controllers that can basically fail over time as it wears down on the surface. Debris can form and you can get false readings, or as we see with the Joy-Con, for example, you would just have overall drift. This controller will also have 2 back paddle buttons, custom profile switch on the front there, player indicators, and 2-way mode switching button, rumble vibration, motion controls, USB-C. They say 22 hours rechargeable battery, but we'll see about that one. Overall, though, this looks nice. My big question, though, outside of the Hall sensors and how that'll all work out in practice, is the build quality, because we are starting to get up there in terms of pricing for 8BitDo. I don't necessarily mind that if the controller itself is put together well, and hey, if it can work to basically eliminate stick drift overall, I think people will be very interested in picking this up, even at the $70 price. I mean, you look around at controllers now, they are just becoming more and more expensive. So I wouldn't even mind 8BitDo taking a shot at a controller in like the $100 some odd price point just to see what they can come up with that extra budget overall. But yeah, I'm gonna be taking a look at this. We'll do a full video, a teardown, and see exactly what we have here with the ultimate Bluetooth controller for the Switch. Next up, let's talk about Saints Row's opening week when it comes to sales, this being in the UK. We can see this posted up with the top 10. Starting with, Saints Row, it topped the sales charts overall. Now, they tried to give us an idea, I guess, as how it sold compared to previous ones, but they mention here it is difficult because, I mean, think about it, we have to go all the way back to 2015 with Gat Out of Hell, and now we are definitely more towards the digital side of things. So those comparisons when this is all just box copies sold over the counter is difficult, but they decided to compare it to 2017 Agents of Mayhem. Saints Row sold 5 times the number of units in the first week, and that's not, I don't think that's a high benchmark for them anyway. So it's maybe sounds impressive when they're like 5 times, but it's like, come on, it was Agents of Mayhem. But either way, it did top the sales charts here. In fact, it was actually over Horizon Forbidden West, which that had a 120% week-on-week rise in sales, and you can figure why. It's bundled with the PS5, and this has been Sony's strategy in many regions now, is just having this Horizon bundle be what's available, and that's kind of it. Either we have Nintendo Switch Sports at 3, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Animal Crossing New Horizons, Pokemon Legends Arceus, Minecraft on the Switch, a lot of Nintendo games there in like the middle section, then Gran Turismo 7, Grand Theft Auto 5, and Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. So despite all of the poor reviews and reception for Saints Row, still tops the sales charts, and yeah, I'm sure some of that has to do with the name itself, Saints Row. It's a storied franchise, it's been around since like the beginning of the Xbox 360, so I'm sure there are many people who have, nostalgia for the series, and they were curious what the new one would bring exactly to the table. And while I'm not a big fan of the game at all, I have completed it, and that's kind of it for me. I'm not really interested in going back and doing any of the extra stuff that they have at the end because it's very boring and monotonous overall, so I'm ready to move on from Saints Row. And I do wonder if this is just sort of the product of there not being a lot that's come out alongside of Saints Row. And like if this game had come out midway through October, I sort of feel like it would have been buried at that time with the number of games that would be releasing then, as opposed to now. So if anything, Deep Silver just picked a good time to launch this game, so people would look around and say, well, I guess I'll pick up Saints Row as my new game for the month. But as we get into September, of course, things will be changing, starting this Friday with Last of Us Part 1, and then going into next week with Splatoon 3. But yeah, so far it looks like Saints Row topping the charts there in the UK, despite that mid-60s on Metacritic. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about the next Assassin's Creed game that apparently being titled Assassin's Creed Mirage. At least this is information that was being posted up on Twitter. We can see this. This one from Rebs Gaming says YouTuber Jonathan, that with the 0, revealed this information on the new Assassin's Creed game. Should be called Assassin's Creed Mirage, released spring 2023. So not too far away. In fact, we would expect this to be shown at the Ubisoft Forward in September. The game will take place in Baghdad between the years 870 and 860, and it's a return to basics, so it appears it's gonna move away from some of the RPG elements that have been installed in some of the recent editions of the game. And I basically saw this, I was like, all right, that's some information that it could be real, could not. And then I saw that Jason Schreier chimed in here and actually corroborated quite a bit of this information, and then also dispelling other parts, saying a person familiar tells me parts of this new Assassin's Creed leak are true, such as the name and the other stuff Bloomberg has already reported, like Spring 23, Baghdad, back to Assassin's Creed basics. Then other parts are not. Multiple cities to explore. Okay, now let me explain why, to me, multiple cities to explore is a good thing. Now, Assassin's Creed, I think, has just gotten too large. Like, they keep making the world bigger and bigger and bigger. That's not necessarily a bad thing if you're like, I want to buy this game and I want it to take 200 hours to beat. I mean, I was hearing from Jordan and MVG that they were spending 130, 140 hours in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and then there's still more content coming out, which, again, for what you spent, you get a lot of content, right? I just feel like there's still a place in the market for an Assassin's Creed game that's like 10 to 20 hours long. It's just a smaller game overall, but it's a very tight-knit experience. And I'm actually wondering if that's the plan here for Assassin's Creed Mirage, because we know that there's going to be this big live service Assassin's Creed platform, with the first one seemingly taking place in Japan. But I am curious about this. I get kind of like Assassin's Creed Rogue vibes from what's being described here. Back to basics for Assassin's Creed and not necessarily leaning into all of the RPG and leveling stuff. So I will say I'm very curious about how this is going to go down, how they will reveal it, which I assume is in the next couple of weeks here, and what exactly they're going to be doing with this versus the live service platform for Assassin's Creed. But let me know what you think about the idea of a smaller, tight-knit Assassin's Creed rather than things like we've seen previously with Valhalla and Odyssey and all of that. And before we go to the comment of the day, we're gonna take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I asked, did you play Assassin's Creed Valhalla? 8% said yes, I played all the way through it. 19% said yes, but I stopped before beating it. I hear that one a lot, actually, with Valhalla. And then 73% said no, I haven't played it, or I'm not interested. Now, I looked through some of the comments here, and I noticed some people mentioned it's just a really long game. I got like 30 hours in and it seemed like it was never ending. Others say that the leveling system just introduced a grind that just kind of wore on them, and then they'd open the map and there's points everywhere and there's just a lot to do where it just felt overwhelming. And that's kind of why I'm thinking, a tight-knit Assassin's Creed spin-off or just game that can kind of exist on its own even outside of this live service platform wouldn't be a bad idea just to kind of put out there. And you know what? To me, it's a game that I'd look forward to more in the Assassin's Creed series, at least for now. I will admit, though, an Assassin's Creed game kind of based around Japan would be really interesting and would probably pull me into their live service platform. But at this point, yeah, I'm really curious about this Assassin's Creed Mirage game now. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Arjun saying, what I'm most curious about is if we get to see some glimpse of Metroid Prime 4. I'm expecting to see a Breath of the Wild 2 trailer, but more trailers won't get my hype up since it's going to be more Breath of the Wild, and those who want more of it don't need to be convinced to buy it, including me. Also, why haven't we seen or heard anything of a new Mario game? Surely there must be something in development. So the rumor around that is that the Mario Odyssey team was working on a new Donkey Kong 2.5D game, but with Breath of the Wild 2, I actually want to see more about it because I feel like there's quite a bit they have not said about it. Like there must be some serious concept that they're going to do this big grand reveal for. It's been a while in development now. I mean, think about it. This is supposed to be a sequel to Breath of the Wild, so we figured they were going to use a lot of that game to build this one, and it's still taking this long. They can't tell us the title for it, so there must be some serious stuff going on there. But Metroid Prime 4, I feel like it's really difficult to tell us about Metroid Prime Remaster that's, heavily rumored and basically expected at this point without saying anything about Metroid Prime 4. That'd be weird. So I feel like if they show this Metroid Prime Remaster remake thing, it being slated for November, then they come back and say one more thing. Here is at least a quick trailer, even if it's just CGI, for Metroid Prime 4, just to set it up, and they hit us with the year 2023, and then we have that to look forward to holiday next year. I kind of think they get Prime out there, the original one, and like this remaster remake, and then it's within a year of Prime 4 releasing. At least that's kind of the schedule I'd like to see them get on, but I guess we'll find out more heading into September. And ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here. Today was this new handheld that's leaked online from Logitech and Tencent. Are you interested in it if the price is right? And then also, what about Saints Row topping the sales charts in the UK despite the poor reception? And then the ultimate 8-bit DOE controller for the Switch with HAL sensors. Are you interested in picking that one up? Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.